the whole notion of savakasha can, if we begin with just one notion of, okay, all rules, they are put in the Ashtadhyayi so that their qualification is just one. They must apply. So if you cannot apply, you are out. So in that sense, there is no rule in the Ashtadhyayi which doesn't have any function. So each rule must have some function. What is function? Application.
Close up.
But all rules cannot apply everywhere. They have to be savakasha, but their savakashatva is defined in a context or by a context. So each function goes with a context. It's not necessary that you will get one context at one place and that's it. That context can be placed at several places. If that is placed at several places, it will come into interaction with several rules. So that's the basis for rule interaction. You have to study the rule interaction to determine the exact context in which a particular rule must apply. So, Vipratishe Paramkarya we talked about. Both rules, if you are weak, you are hit out. If you are strong, you overpower the other. But if that other one is also equally powerful, so what determines the powerfulness? Savakashatva. But savakashatva in a particular context with the understanding that there is another context in which this rule has proved its existence. If that is the only place where it must apply, then you cannot displace it. Otherwise, the Acharya formulated a rule and you are saying that. So there is no sutra by earth here.
That is again and again emphasized by Patanjali also.
Yeah, there is no. I'm speaking mostly Patanjali or Kashika. Even Kashika is the Patanjali.
Yeah, yes.
With my language, you can very clearly see that I am coming from.
Yes, that was very clear when I read through. I could see a lot of Kashika and Patanjali.
Yeah, of course. Kashika is the one I spent something like 30-35 years. Because the first 20 years I based my Ashtadhyayi study on the Kashika. That is why I was encouraged to put a translation of the Kashika Vritti, because half of the Kashika Vritti was already translated in the notes or elsewhere in the. So that is why I don't even think when it comes to translating with the Shabda Sangyatuna Vidhyate Pratyeka Madhisham Varnanam Samanya Natad Bhavitanam Patad Bhavitanam Cha.
Sir, one thing I still would like you to explain why did he use Sabhavidana and Atadbhavidana? Exactly.
He used that so that there is no confusion about you exactly. See, he defines his sounds. Now, the vriddhi is assigned to sounds.
Okay.
So, he doesn't want to leave any confusion of whether of the Savarna type, like you have in the Shiva Sutras, you have the or can represent or can represent and all that. For how many types are there of a vowel?
18.
A?
18.
80.
18. 1
So he doesn't want any such confusion. What is the proof of that? Proof is, like in Adekura, he uses at. In Vidhiradecha, he uses at. What is the device? The device is Taparakarana, which is also interpreted as Taparu Yasma.
Tadapi Paraha.
Tadapi Paraha Tapara. I don't believe it.
Aparaha? No. Taparo Yasmat and Tadapi Paraha, it's not.
So, anyway, that is the reason why he makes that specification. Tadbhavita and Tadbhava, don't be confused that if it is a Tadbhavita, then you don't assign the term this, Vriddhi.
Atadbhavitanam.
Atadbhavitanam cha. That's why Kashikakar gives the example Bhaga, Tyaga, Raga, etc. from Tyag, Vriddhi, etc. Or there is a rule that says Vriddhacha, introduction of affix cha after a base which is formed with a Vriddhi vowel. If you are thinking in English about Pāṇini rules, you have to really think very carefully, because there are contexts where you will be using words like contained. No, don't use them. I say formed with as an it at the end. That means
You don't use containing that kind of.
Containing, container, contained, no. And especially these Kriya Visheshanas and this kind of containing, etc., I avoid. That you can see in my voice, I carefully. And now my language has just been polished. You can see the developmental history of my language use and also the understanding. I have learned a lot in the process. And I enjoyed my learning when I was doing the Kashika Virtu. It was fun. I was playing, dancing, translating the Kashika Virtu. Because I have worked hard for the last 20 years on the Kashika Virtu. So, anyway. So Pāṇini had some general understanding of rule interaction, where there were certain results that he has dictated. For example, an apavada always blocks the utsarga. So he formulates the rules based on the considerations of Samanya, Vishesha and Shesha. You can get Sheshe Prathamaha, Shashti Sheshe, etc. Then Samanya, Vishesha and Shesha, then he puts that restriction. They each have their own domain, well defined. Then he says, Vipratishe Paramkari. Then he says, watch out this area. This is a compound formation area, Prakara, Samasa. Then he goes to the second book, where he begins with Dangit, Ngit. He has the Atmane Pada, Paspay Pada. He has the Vibhakti with Anavihite. These are all specifications under which rules apply. Our rules are identified, are classified. They each have function. In the samasas, it's beautiful. You get the general feeling that you only get compound formation on a soup with a soup. That means alvantesya, subanta, subanta, subantasya, subantena, saha, saha supa. But then, of course, there was a khagata, etc., all these examples. Bhattuji has taken into that. But before we get to the compound and the vibhakti, you have one section, karake. Karake section. What is that? Karake is an adhikara. Karake is also the condition. It's also an nimitta. It's also a nimitta. Or simply a samyadhikara. I have talked, if you go into the first volume, I have given 2-3 different interpretations. If I'm not mistaken, either in there or in the big Ashadhyayi volume. But the most thing is karake. And as I did the translation of that rule and I explained to you, that tells a lot. When that which is doing, where that is referring to a participant in action. That is something which you must remember. So, unless you are thinking about an entity which is currently accomplishing certain actions, and they say in more elite term, they are engaged in bringing an action to fulfillment. Bringing an action to fulfillment, you can never bring an action to fulfillment. Because with so many layers and so many things going on, you have to read from the Bhatta. So, anyway, karake, when that which is doing, a participant. So all participants in action have been discussed. And for karaka, before reading that section, or before thinking about the karaka section, you should look at the chart I have given. I'm so proud of that. There are 2 charts in volume 1 but that I am very proud of. One is the karaka one, which shows how the karaka section is structured and what was going on in the mind of the Acharya when he was writing the karaka section. So he thought, I can't do any accomplishment of the action unless he talked about the participants of the action, because they are the ones who. Then he takes that section into the fold of Akara Rekha Sangha. The way he has ordered the karaka rules, what is the last rule? Tat prayajako hetuscha. What is before that? Swatantra karta.
Karta comes last.
So, Swatantra karta. Of course he has to be Swatantra, there is no conflict with him. He is the overpowering person. He is Swatantra. Swatantra of what? Swatantra, independent of other participants in the action. Why independent? Because others are his dependent. Interpret it more directly like that. Others are what? Apadana, Sampradana, Karana, Adhikarana, Karti. There are 6. Karma. So, that is why they say, he is the one who brings them to play. Hey, let's play.
Wouldn't you say agent instead of independent? What will Kartri?
I don't know, I mostly use Kartri. See, sometimes I have a tendency to throw Sanskrit words at people rather than adapt to some. And I am dead against using the Greco-Latin traditional terms.
Exactly, sir. This is because that will slightly obfuscate in the present generation. You will have to get into a lot of Latin to understand even the term itself. You are creating a problem.
Otherwise, see, let's go to Greco-Latin tradition, what they do. This is a nominative case. This is a generative case. What? They can do anything with their tradition and with their language, and the facts are different in that than over here. But I don't want those things to be imposed on Pāṇini, because Pāṇini is not thinking on those lines. His categories are his categories to whom he puts to certain actions. So, that is why I have, in the derivational process, I have taken 2 levels in the derivation. One is the naming. Naming of what? Naming of relations. So like you have, first you have the abstract syntactic frame beforehand. Why? Because he is not deriving just pada, he is deriving a sentence. So you have to have a frame, then you have to name the participants. So you have naming is one level. You have abstract syntactic representation. So what is the abstract syntactic representation of Pachati? X is engaged in accomplishing the action of the Kaliti at the current time. Okay, let's say that's the... So, X is engaged in accomplishing the action of Y at the current time Z. And then depending on the Vivaksha, you can say for Y, which is cooking the Urana, are at a place in the forest, one end, by means of fire, Agnina, in a part, Sthalyam.
So how does it come?
So, once you have the frame, you have to name the relations. So like that's where the subject will come. So called the subject, Karti is better. Then, because I consider karma as the subject of the passive sentence, that's where my problem is. My problem is that I don't consider genitive as a case, because Pāṇini doesn't define genitive as a case. My problem is that he doesn't define prathama, nominative, subject as a case.
Yes.
Because there is only 6 karakas in Sanskrit. You can't fit 7 or 8 vakati. So that system has to be rejected. That's why I mean, in English, I use 1, 2, 3, 4 for the vibhakti, prathama, dvitiya, tritiya. That comes very handy because Pāṇini himself does that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I say prathama, dvitiya, tritiya, chaturthi, panchami, shashti, saptami is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, irrespective of what they do. What they do depends on what frame, syntactic frame they are used, or they reflect the relationship. So, you name it. So, Yudhishthiraha vane pachati, Udanam pachati, Thalyam pachati, etc., etc. That way, so there are 6 karakas, they define certain relations. I would call them grammatical relations. I don't call them some kind of semantic relations. Genetic is a semantic relation. So you name that relation and then lexicalize that. So lexicalization, one step is naming, name the relation, then insert the lexicon, Yudhishthira, Vana, identify them, go to the vibhaktis, that's the expression of those relations.
Are you calling genitive semantic just because it doesn't have anvaya to the kriya?
What?
You're calling genetic a semantic relation.
No, not for Kriyanvaitam Karakatvam. Kriyanvaitam Karakatvam is a purely grammatical notion. That is why I say Karakatvam.
You said genitive is a semantic. You meant genitive in the Western tradition. Janya Janaka Bhava or something.
Yeah, Janya Janaka, Angambi Bhava.
So many
So this is
genitive
in the late, okay, whatever.
Shashti
is very meaningful.
Shashti is a very nutty. I mean, I mentioned Rajikasya Vastam Dadati. How do you represent Rajikasya Vastam Dadati? So that automatically Pāṇini derived Rajakaya or Rajakasya.
But you said that genitive is a semantic relation other than grammatic relation.
No, it's not a grammatical relation.
But
Why? Why? Because it's not directly relatable to action. Tasya putraha gramam gacchati. Who goes to the grama? The putra. Tasya. So that's the test. If you are not directly related to, if you are not a blood relation of the action, you are out.
You are not no you can come.
That's the test. Okay. So that which does not relate directly with the action to be accomplished is not a karaka and is not a grammatical relation. Everything is. So, you insert the lexicon. After that, you identify, label them, pratipadika, 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 verb, action. Okay? And then you go to the derivation. Action is first. Because action is the central meaning of a Sanskrit sentence. So, you go to action. And you go introduce lot, arguing, argues, arguing, arguing, etc., etc. And then you replace them. They are all going to be replaced with, except for Vata, Shati, Shanati, Prathama, Samanadhikarane, where their Shati and Sanas will also be introduced. So, you replace them. That is the fate of all the lakaras. They get replaced with thing. are, so the vibhakti, so when you replace them, before replacing that you have to make a choice whether your verb form which you are going to be deriving, whether that is going to be expressing the grammatical relation of karaka or karma or bhava is a semantic relation. It's not a grammatical relation.
Okay, bhava is
Yeah. What is bhava? Bhava is satta.
right.
I use notion. So, a root meaning. Bhavanam bhava.